it's Valerie again, back, 1 o'clock Saturday, March 20, oh, 21st, okay, let's do it. We're going to do a lemur this afternoon. I'm going to do one in pastel, and I'm going to do one with a Sharpie marker. I think maybe the pencil's a little bit hard to see. So the deal with the lemur is, of course, the most important part is the fancy tail. I mean, that's the most important part. The other thing is that the head is pretty small. Okay, so if you make a head that's as big as this, number one, you're not going to have room for the tail unless you make a really small body. So we're going to get a smaller head, a big lump of a body, and then we want to have a great big spot on our paper for this super fun tail. Okay? All right, let's do it. All right, I'm going to use a gray to start out, because when you're drawing in the beginning and you're using color, whether you're painting or you're drawing, you know, you're probably not going to get everything just exactly where you want it. So ideally you want to start, you know, either drawing lighter or use a lighter color so that you can just, you know, nobody expects you to be perfect, but that way you can define things later on with something darker. So I want to get the head over here, but not so close that it doesn't fit on, you know, that you lose the ears or something like that. You know, I don't want you to put it here. This is too far over. But right about here, okay? The head is pretty square, okay? So we'll start with a line, upper corner here, a line about this long, okay? Around there. Oh, wait a minute, maybe I did it backwards. Oh, I have to have a bigger head. Okay, actually the one on the bottom is a little bit smaller than the one on the top, but then we'll put the one up here. Oh, I'm just gonna make it, I'll just make it smaller when I do it. And what happens is the face tilts up a little bit like this, okay? See, if you make mistakes, doesn't matter, fix them, nobody expects you to be perfect. Okay, so it's a little bit narrower on the chin, a little wider on the forehead. Then it has big ears. Start here and make a little line that goes up, and a little line that goes up like that. I guess that's kind of high, but okay. And then round it out around like this, and round it out around like this. That's kind of what the head looks like. Okay? We're going to leave that for a minute. We're going to sketch in the rest of the guy. The thing I want you to notice is if you went straight down from his nose, that's where the hand is. So that's where this part of the arm is. There's a little bit of chest in the front, but we're looking at this gray line that runs down like this. The other thing you have to guess, which I think in my case I'll just have to do the best I can, but you would measure the size of the head and say there's one head, two heads, a little less than 3 heads from here to here. Obviously, if it doesn't fit, you know, my lemur could be squished up a little bit, and then we'll make it, you know, his body can move in different, you know, can be in different positions, but that's what that one's like. So if I measured my head, it would be 1, 2, 3. It's a little bit lower than I want, so I'm going to aim for about here. So I'm going to drop a line down from his chin, right straight down, almost to the bottom. Okay? Then I want to think about this, his back. And the important thing here is that it starts up by his ear. Okay? It doesn't start here at his chin. It starts up here because he's hunched up like this. And this, if I divided my paper here, this part of where his tail is about in the middle of my page. That gives me this whole other half to do the tail. So if I find about the middle, then I'm going to be aiming for about right here for his back. Obviously I'm not going to make a straight line that comes down because he has that curve. So I'm going to start up here by his ear, and I'm going to round him out down like that. Okay? Now he has a little thickness to his, you know, to his arm, so that's like right in, and that only goes up this far, right? It doesn't go all the way up to his head. It's only going to go up about this far. So I'm having another line that's right about here. Okay, I'll let you get caught up on that part. If you're doing that, I'm going to draw in with the Sharpie down here. Okay, the same thing. If you need help, if you got a little behind, you can try it again. So this time I'm going to do it a little differently. A little shorter here, a little bit wider on the top. I'm going to go up a little bit on either ear, bring them around, and then I'm going to connect here, okay? It's going to be a little bit better head. Okay, then I'm going to drop this line down. I'm going to bring this out kind of like this, and then I'm going to have his wrist about like here. So there we go again, okay? So far so good? Everybody happy? Okay. He has this little fluff on his chest.
Make it a little darker if you can.
This?
Like a line. See?
Okay. Gonna get things a little bit darker so you can see it. Alright, so I'm gonna make kind of a little furry little line that runs like that. I'll make this a little bit darker. Alright.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's good.
He does have a little hand, and what happens with your hand is it's kind of a little box, and then you have your fingers that add on top. And the lemur has the same thing. So what you can do, if you want, is you make a little box here, or a little circle, because he's sitting on this little thing here. And then you put some fingers that go down, maybe a thumb that goes this way. Okay? I'm going to jam his hind end like right up against his hand. Okay? So I'm going to have a flat line that goes right here. And then this shape here of his hip bone, or whatever you want to call it, is huge, right? You know, it's bigger than half of his body here. So we want to have this big rounded shape that's like right here. Okay? So see what you can do with that part. I'll do it down here. My little square. And then a big, oh, you want this down here. And a big. Okay. Oh yeah, and this. Okay. How's that? Going good?
Good.
So far so good? I mean, what else is it? It's a lemur, right? So far, even it looks like a lemur already, and now here comes the best part. Okay, so in my photo, the tail goes off the page, but I'm going to fit it on here. So I have half of my paper to fit this on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pretty much up as far as I can go, and then I'm going to go almost to the side of my paper, maybe like that. Nice and long, you know, why not as long as you can make it, okay? It's kind of rounded on the end, but I would start, instead of coming from here and trying to aim back to the lemur's butt here, I would start here and meet the end. I think you'll find that that's easier. You do it whatever way works for you. Okay, so we're going to go up on the inside of this loop that I made. And then I have a nice, super big tail. Okay? So I'll do that down here. I'm going to go up, way up big, and way down, and round that a little bit, and I'm going to start here. And I'm going to go up and around. Alright? So, we're going to have a little line right here for the box that he's sitting on. And yeah, I think we'll just go with that. Now we don't have to, I mean, in reality, you'd probably have a little bit of another hand here. We'll just go like that. Okay, so same thing here. Okay, all right. We're going to look at his face, because that's the most important part. Okay?
How the tail was.
The face and the tail are both important. You can pick. You can pick which is your most important. I will do... Alright, so what I'm going to do is put some orange for his eyes on my pastel one. If you're doing this one... actually, let's do it differently so we can... Well, do that first. And this is from top to bottom of his head. his eyes are about in the middle. They're not up here, and they're not down here. They're right about in the middle, and they're kind of spread apart. And they're not huge, but so give yourself 2 orange spots. If you're doing this in marker or something, don't do that part first. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the nose, okay? Because it's easier to squeeze in the top of this, you know, what happens up here, than it is to try to squeeze the nose in if you run out of room. So I usually start down low. Same thing with snowmen and jack-o'-lanterns, okay? I'll do the shape down here. So you have, he has kind of a nose kind of like this, and then what happens is it goes out like that on either side. And if you want him to have a little mouth, you can do that. And then what you do is you just kind of sketch in over the top, not so dark, and you'll still be able to see that little bit of mouth. Or you can color it in black, because it's pretty much, that's all you see here. Okay? That's that part. We'll do it on the, with a pastel too. Okay? So you're thinking a little bit about how far this is from these eyes. They're all kind of evenly spaced out. So I'm going to start with the nose like that, and kind of round that out, and fill that in. Alright? Then the next thing is I want you to look a little bit at the white shape here. That's called, in a way, that's the negative space. And that's kind of how you figure out how close these eyes are and how they are actually shaped, this black mask. And it's sort of, there's 2 lines kind of like that, and then 2 that go kind of like this. So do those things first, all right? Because it's nice to have it look like a mask. All right? Okay? On the one that I'm drawing, I'm going to draw the eyes next. You want to draw them bigger than you think you need. You can always make them smaller, but once you've made them, you can't really make them any bigger. So I can make my 2 shapes here. Okay? Hopefully you have a little bit of forehead left. All right? And then the top is going up a little bit. That's kind of why they have that kind of naughty look to them, is because the upper line goes up a little, and then you're going around like this, and you're going to color this in. So on the drawings, see if you can get it to go up a little bit, and around, and up a little bit, and around. We'll color that in. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I can't play music, so because it's against the law for me to use music, and so if my other video is muted, that's why, and hopefully it's only muted in a little spot, not the whole thing, but, you know, live and learn. Okay. There's that. Color this in. Okay, I have one eye bigger, so that means I can go around this one, make this just a little bit smaller. Oop, and make one smaller, and then the other one's big. All right, and you're gonna have a little dot in there. All right, and a little dot in these. All right, and then he has this funny little, like, old-fashioned 1920s hairdo with a little part down the middle. And what I would probably do is make that little space in the middle, and then just kind of round on either side a little bit, kind of brush that out. All right, and then you also have a nice big black spot on the inside of the ear. Okay. Same thing down here. Make that little part. And then add the let's do the tail. Well, we're still have your black handy. All right, so the fur, whenever you can, you try to draw in the direction the fur is growing, so it's probably growing up and down, and then the other way, rather than side to side, so if you can. And so you can color little spaces like this on your lemur's tail. Okay, so with my, if you're using a pen or you're using a pencil, you know, we do have to give the body some color. And one of the things you do with a marker is called cross-hatching, so that you can get a black, you know, color something in with black that you can't vary the shade of the black, but you can kind of make it seem a little bit lighter. And the one, you know, part where it's important is right around his face, because we don't want to scribble over his face. We want to set that apart with contrast from the white to the... So right in there you want to be nice and careful how you draw. And then cross-hatching is sort of when you go in one direction. If you have a marker that's running out of ink, that helps too. And then you kind of go in another direction, and you can kind of build up the gray in different ways rather than just coloring it in. Or you can just color it in. That's fine too. So that's sort of how that'll work. I'll come back and finish that up. On the pastel, again, I always like to use two colors when I can, and he is a little bit brown, right? So I'm going to take my sienna. Brown comes in two colors. Well, no, it comes in a infinite amount of colors. But in my little box, I have sienna and I have kind of an umber. And the sienna is the reddish one, and the umber is the bluer one, which I'm not sure this is super blue, but anyway, this is the reddish one. I'm going to use a little, maybe I'll use both of them. So I'm going to start and I'm going to put my sienna on this part, and then I'm going to use on his big hip bone, I'm going to use a slightly different shade just to help separate that from the rest of his body, because it's, make him a little less like a blob. And I'm just kind of doing a light coat, because I'm going to do gray right over the top, because he is really gray, but this way we get different shades of gray. Because in your box, you might have 30-something colors, or maybe you only have 8, or maybe you only have, I think I have 16 in these boxes, but you can't get every color you need, so you have to learn how to mix stuff together. So always give it a whirl. It's fun. So then I'll color this in, and then I'm going to take my gray, and I'm going to draw that on top. White on there too, maybe on his back, maybe right here on his hip, hands. Okay, so get those colored in. I'll color in my these fingers a little bit. How are we coming?
Good. I think it takes some time though. We're still coloring.
Alright, I'll give you a little bit of time to catch up to here, and then we'll look at, we'll pull this background together and stuff, okay? And, give me some feedback. I'd love to hear, anything I can do better, and also, when's a good time, what you might like to draw, how many you want me to do.
What you have for materials?
Oh yeah, let me know what kind of materials you have at home. If anybody out there has paint, I'd love to do a little, you wouldn't need a lot of different colors, I could show you a little bit about how to mix the paint, but we could do a little painting if you have that, but I don't want, not everybody has any and not everybody wants to get it all over their house, so. Alright. But thanks for, making my life more normal, because I know I miss drawing, and I didn't really have a reason to. It's better than stacking wood, which is what we're doing, or raking.
Yard work.
Yard work. Yard work. That's what we say in Maine. In the dooryard. Alright. So, really all that's left to do here, right? We've got everything on here. I know. On the guy, the pastel guy, I might like to highlight, well, not highlight, but define where I have these gray lines. Maybe I want to mark it a little bit with some black. Again, like with the castle, you want to be careful. This is something you want to do carefully, rather than sloppy, because it's important, and I know it's at the end when you're getting a little tired, so but try to do that carefully. But the other thing is, I'm making these little fatter fingers here. Where's my gray? Here we go. Alright, fatter fingers. This is the other thing, is, again, to make the white spots on his tail and the white spots on his face look white without just outlining everything. What you do is you color the background in, and then the white's left behind, and then it really has more resonance because it stands out, because it's the only thing that's white there, where otherwise I've got a lemur in the snow bank, right? So if you take, and I would experiment, or I will, with the two greens I have, and the two shades of yellow that I have, because green is made of blue and yellow, and so you can always add yellow to green to make it a different shade. But what I want to do is, right up next to where like this white part is on his chest, if I very carefully draw that, I didn't really have to make the black on there. If I color right up against him, it's going to separate his little white head from the background, and you're drawing not just by using lines, but by having different shapes of color come up against each other, and that creates the line. So you can see how that works there. Same thing with the tail, right? Instead of outlining the tail in black, you know, and this, if you have the energy for it, do it, but if you don't, you know, you don't have to. And, but again, where it matters is right up next to the image. You could get a little loosey-goosey out in here and not worry so much, but you want to be careful, like right up close to things. Alright, so I can put a little of that on there, and then maybe I'm going to blend a little yellow on there, because this makes this a look, you know, we have all the drab colors, and this makes it more fun. If you want to make a purple background, or a pink background, or a red background,
The Lemur in hell.
Halima in hell, yes. No. Whatever you want. Pretty, and as many, I mean, if you want rainbow, go for that too. That's great. Alright, I've got that light yellow here, I've got a browner yellow here, we call this ochre. And I can put that right over my green. Alright. One of the things that happens when you're drawing or painting animals, if it's from a photograph, is that most of them have are camouflaged to blend into their background, which, you know, is great in reality, but it doesn't make for as great a picture. So you always, you know, it's called artistic license. Just because it looks one way in the photograph doesn't mean that, you know, you have to draw it that way. You draw it any way you want to, right? I'm very anxious to see how everybody's lemur looks, so please do post. I'm not sure if you can share a post to my page, but you can share a picture as a comment, I'm pretty sure. Alright. What do you... Oh! Hey, Michaela!
Yeah, she's commented. She's having fun.
I hope you're having fun. It's my friend down in... my Italian friend down in Miami. Alright. And, you know, I have this other little spot here. What a great opportunity for me to use purple. Because why not? Alright.
So fun.
Well, I hope everybody's having fun and not taking it too seriously. Get everybody to join in. Everybody can do this. This isn't for anybody with great special talents by any means. This is for anybody to do. You can see that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Look good? And were we done? I've got Daphne and Matthias here in the room,
Yeah.
helping to set the pace.
Yeah.
Are we done?
We're just coloring in. Yeah.
Okay. Take your time, color in, and like I said, I'm looking forward to see how they look, and I think I'll do something tomorrow. If people are interested, you know, so let me know. And if you want to donate, I have you can donate on my website. The link is right there under the tickets, and you can do as little as $1. But then I know you're out there. Okay? Thanks a lot. Stay healthy and you know, keep happy.
Good.